miniature, abandoned by its creator and shattered by their legacy, stands at the brink of a new age as the painters fight for mastery over the pile of shame. Embraced by the northern mountains and the Orient gates of Asteris, sits the world's last painter against gray and boring. Rob the miniature painter will once again bring color and beauty, restoring faith to other painters and reviving a golden age sundered by the fall.
Hello Malediction fans, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to speed paint Sigrith Andravos, which is the main seeker for the Shattered Throne faction. Really cool underpainting job here where I did is a dark gray, a dark yellow, zenithal, prime, and then some dry brushing of some gray castle or castle gray, whichever one it is. And then using speed paints over this is an amazing thing to get almost your miniatures like grim dark without actually using acrylic paints, war paints, Citadel paints, Vallejo paints, AK interactive paints, whatever you want to call it. All those other paints. I use Army Painter, by the way. I am very strictly Army Painter now, which, I mean, is fine. Some people out there be like, well, yeah, but what if I use other colors? Well, then you can go find their chart online and convert, and you'll figure out how to paint like me. And yeah, again, and these speed paints are going to do an amazing job. As you can see, I used warrior skin on her shield, which is interesting, right? And then some peachy flesh on the face that's in the, I'm not going to spoil what's on the bottom because that's going to be painted later on, but in the puddle on the ground or the lake or hole or whatever this guy's in, and then her face as well. And again, the zenithal of the yellow, it's like a dark yellow. It's from Vallejo primers. I'm actually enjoying the Vallejo primers. I'm trying to find some more colors because they are pretty amazing in the airbrush. And yeah. Oh yeah, look, I did something really cool here. Mixed some Army Painter War Paints Fanatic into the Holy White, and it created a mix of a speed paint glaze, and I put this over all her white tassels and her all the white cloth and all that, and I find that it wasn't like a white where it's just going to be matte looking. The speed paint Holy White comes in here and actually acts as an activator for the paint becoming like a deeper speed paint that covers a little bit better, because I didn't want the gray look. I didn't want the grayish look from the Holy White. I really wanted this to pop on the table. I wanted her cloth to look really amazing, and the white does a great effect on this. So then I just slowly put this on there. It gets into the recesses again. There are some spots on this miniature, by the way, that are a little hard to get. Now, Malediction, if you haven't played it, this is like a Magic the Gathering meets a skirmish Warhammer game. You play cards, and you can play right out of the box with the standees and the terrain that comes with it. You do not need, if you do not have access to a resin printer or an FDM printer, you can play this right out of the box. Amazing game. The link for it will be in the description. Malediction, great game. It plays like a board game in my opinion. That is why I'm also painting on the channel, but I also want people to see how good it is. And Malediction, or Loot Studios, was actually very nice enough to send me some of their STLs for the Seekers. Now, I have bought the Shattered Throne and I have bought the Conclave of Spheres. So I do have those Seekers, but they sent me a different rendering of one of their Seekers, and I'm hoping to find someone who's willing to print it out for me, and so that I can paint it and show it on a channel and appreciate what they did for me. I mean, to me, it is so nice that this company wants to promote their miniatures and their games so well that they're willing to give a little channel like me a little bit of something to promote on it and show you guys that it is a good game. It is a good company. It is worth it. The miniatures are unbelievable. The details on them are just beautiful. And using speed paints, I did the whole faction exact same base coating. So again, it's a dark Panzer gray or German dark gray or something like that, and then a yellow Panzer, dark yellow Panzer Vallejo primers. Anyways, take a look at them. I didn't take pictures of them, of the bottles. Anyways, I did, and I posted them in my other video. If you haven't seen the other video, the link will be popping up at the end of this video. You can go take a look at how I did the Valkyris Priests. Those were the first ones I did. Again, this is one of the Seekers. And you can see there's a lot of white and a lot of areas to get into. So yeah, it does take some time, but it gives me time to talk about the game. she has a power where it's called smite, so you get 2 activation points per per activation. So when you activate a model, you flip the card like in Magic as if you're attacking, right? And you can move, you can attack, you can do other stuff, you can cast spells while you're activating your miniature, and you can cast as many as you can afford, because you get Echo, which is like mana, but it runs out quickly, so do be careful, because some spells cost a lot. But one good thing with her is her relic, or her special her shield here, makes it that you can discard a card to prevent injuries to all your teammates, all your allies. And she also has this double action where she does smite, where she adds some attack or hitting, you know, you have a certain amount you got to roll to hit, and then her damage gets doubled, like it adds 5 to the damage. And when you damage something, you're either going to do a full hit, you're either going to do a graze, or you're going to do a critical hit or a critical miss. So sometimes you'll have a creature like her, I think she does 5/3, so when it's a full hit, it'll be 5 damage, but if you use smite, it's 10. If you get a graze, then it's only 3 damage, and if you get a critical hit, it's both of them added together. So you could do 8 plus that 5, you could get a 13 damage. You could kill a smaller miniature on the table. Alright, the next color we're using here is polished silver. We're being very gentle with this, a little bit more watered down, a little bit of medium in it. I do use a little bit of medium in all the speed paints, just for you guys to know, just so that the undercoating does come through a little bit. I don't use a ton because I don't want it to be too crazy on it, and I am still working around with the angle of my camera. So there might be some areas where it goes a little off screen, so I do want to apologize for that. I'm going to be setting up another camera angle, just because I kind of ran out of room of how it all works and stuff. So anyways, I'm just working on that right now, so just do be patient with it. I mean, you're seeing the model anyways being painted here. It's pretty cool. All right, the next color we're going to be using is bright red. This is for the flags or the banners, as well as the capes on, and I think I'm gonna be sticking to the bright red for a lot of the capes and flags for this faction, because I don't want to go like, oh, some purple, some blue, and all that. I want them to be a unified faction on the table as well. So when I'm playing, I know these models are mine. I know, you know, so on and so forth. And the other thing I'm doing is actually painting the rims in the color of the faction. Now, you're going to say, well, yeah, but you can mix factions, which yes, you can. And that's why I got the Conclave of the Spheres, because they mix with the Shattered Throne. So you can take the other Seeker, or from the Conclave, who has the 2 colors in her card, which allows you to play cards from the Shattered Throne faction as well as the Conclave of Spheres faction. Her here, Sigrith, she can only have yellow cards in her deck. Now, I have noticed, and I'm going to ask this question, there are some cards that have no colors on them. So can those be in any deck, including a red deck, including a blue deck, or a gold deck, or a black deck? I'm curious about that. I'm going to ask on the Malediction Discord channel to see, because I'm a little curious about that. Because it would be cool, because there's a couple items that have no colors on them. So I don't know if there's something that shows that, but I'm going to ask that question. Anyway, so we're just finishing off with the bright red now here on the cloth of the cape of the one down below. And we're going to be moving on to the next color, which is going to be Occultist Cloak. So now what I'm doing is doing the gloves on the characters. I'm going to be doing the inside part of her, like her clothing, not her armor, but like just the clothing parts, the belts, stuff like that, just to kind of break it out. I didn't want to do leather brown because I think that would have popped too much. I find that the Occultist Cloak has a hint of grayish, purplish hue to it. And I think on this character it looks really good. It really makes her cloth pop even more on this. And as you can see, the rocks still have the color, and I'm going to keep it that way on this one. I'm not going to add even a shade to it, because I find the rocks look very natural with the base coating I did. Okay, Brownish Decay. This I find is a great hair color, especially with this base coat. It has like a sandy brown, a little bit of, not greenish, but a little touch, but not really, not with this undertone. Does a really good job on the guy's hair in that puddle. And again, the speed paint is acting really well with the dry brushing, acting really well with the base coating. So you know, you don't always have to do a slap chop of black, gray, white. You can do zenithals and some dry brushing and really make your miniatures pop. So I forgot to do her gloves with the occultist cloak, so I'm back with that. Just finishing off that work. I didn't want you guys to be like, hey, how come you forgot some stuff with the occultist cloak? You said gloves and that, and you didn't do it. So I just came back. Yes, I could have cut this and put this before and then shown the occult, the brownish decay after, but you'd be like, okay, now you did his hair. I'm a little messed up. Now you're all on track. We're all good. We're going to keep this going. Next is the glittering loot. We're doing this for all her armor. Now, there is one part of her armor that I kind of made a mistake on, and it's right here on her breastplate. It should have been that silver, or even a fairy dust, like a white armor, like a glittering white armor, which would have been cool if they would have kept fairy dust as an effect in the Warpaints Fanatics. They only have it in air now, so it's very, very watered down. But if you can use it, you know, if you want to try it again, you can go ahead and use it there. But yes, just between her breastplate and the top part of her plate, it's like it should have been silver, and I kind of messed it up. But you know what? I could go over it later and fix it. But I find she looks good with a lot of the golden armor. This is way longer of a part in this video, so don't forget to hit that like button if you're enjoying my Malediction videos. If you're enjoying also and you're new to the channel and you want to paint Malediction, I will be painting the entire Shattered Throne minis on the channel. I don't know about Conclave. I might just do Seekers. I might do random ones here and there, you know, ones that are more cool, ones that are, you know, simplified. And other legions, other factions, maybe one day if I get more into this game. But right now I want to stick to 2. So if I want to play at home, I will be able to play with like my sons or a friend who comes over and learn the game. I'll have that opportunity to have the 2 factions, so that's kind of cool. And I printed out the Conclave terrain, I printed out the Shattered Throne terrain, so I'll be painting those up too. Not showing that stuff on the channel because terrain is not my forte. I have a hard time getting the right colors working. I don't know, terrain is beautiful to work with, but I'm like trying to find the simplest way possible for terrain just to have it on the table. But I don't know, if I have nothing to work with, it's very hard. I have a hard time being just inspired with colors. Anyway, so which me and my wife were talking about the other day, and she's been painting up one of my spearheads. I've been teaching her how to paint, and she's really going at it on her own, which is inspiration from her own self and what she thinks that these guys should look like, and I think it's amazing. I always want to stick to the box art and, you know, all that stuff, and I have a hard time just coming up with my own. But anyways, I'm trying to be different. Anyways, again, welcome to the channel, folks. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. All right, you can also join the channel, which I'm super grateful for my members right now. I only have 2, but you know what, those 2 members keep this channel going. They give me inspiration to keep it going and to have faith in the fact that people love my work so much, are willing to give me a little something every month and support my crazy hobby. You know, paints are not cheap, brushes are not cheap. You guys know, you paint, you do stuff, you know, but I try to have, you know, all the tools I need to be able to show you guys how to paint. Super easy, by the way. You're not going to take 10 hours painting this miniature. No, you're going to take maybe an hour or so and have a beautiful miniature on the table. Yeah, there's another, what, 20 more models to paint for this faction, but it'll take my time. I'm going to slate a gray 1 miniature at a time. I'm going to go back and forth from other projects with this one. So yeah, my videos come out sporadically. They're not always scheduled. They're not always, you know, the same game like Marvel Zombies has been going on for almost 2 years or over 2 years now. But you know, eventually I'll have the entire box painted, show you guys all that stuff up, and yeah. So anyways, we're moving on finally to the next color, which is Hoplite Gold, and we're doing this for the banner top here. So we're just using that there, and there is a difference, by the way, between a Hoplite Gold and the Greedy Gold and the Bright Gold. There is a very big difference. It may not always show up, but it does. It's there, and you can see it in the pictures. You can see it on the table. There is a little hint of yellow more. And then some other ones have a little bit more brownish to them. All right, that puddle on the ground, I had fun with it. So I'm like, I'm going to mix like a drop or 2 of True Blood into some Slaughter Red. And I think it's about 2 drops of that as well. Now, at first, it looks extremely shiny and all that. But then as it dries and it hits all those raised edges that have some dry brush of the Castle Gray, the red will become a little bit more popping, but the blood will dry as a glistening blood, like more glossy looking, and it does a good job. And then I use some of it also on her shield because her shield is actually crying tears of blood. And then I make this drop down onto the character below, onto the rock, onto that the banner cloth and the flag and all that, just to really make the emphasis of this guy is drowning in a pool of blood, but looking up for help. And that's what this character does in Malediction. She helps, she gives protection to other people, she hits hard, as long as people are within her range or nearby or whatever. I think there's maybe even a certain range area and all that stuff. Anyway, so she's there to help out with that. And now we're creating this, it's creating this pool of blood because the amount of help this shield provides a lot. Alright, using some dirty down gore. That's right. However, I will tell you right now, this stuff dries so quickly. You got to work with it super quick. And that's why I just realized how quickly I went off camera, because I was like, I got to get this thing close to there using a toothpick. And some of it already broke off. It gets so hard. So I don't know if you guys know a trick to make this a little bit more resistant to manipulation. Please let me know, okay, in the comments. But there you go. You got the blood coming down, splattering down. It looks pretty neat, right? All right. In my opinion, it looks pretty cool. And there you have it, folks. Sigrith Andravos is painted, ready for the table. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to keep slaying the gray one miniature at a time.